30 minutes had already passed since Rudolph's group had left the guest house. By any measure, their return was too late. And Klaus and Netzi, who were waiting by the entrance, were by now about as restless as they could stand. The chain was set on the door. That was a precaution in the event that Rudolph's group was attacked, and the master key was stolen from them. For that reason, they needed to wait by the entrance like this for the others to return.
さすがに遅すぎます。彼らの身に何かあったのでは。
Klaus glanced between the clock and the door, struggling to find composure.
もし彼らが戻らないようなことがあるならば。
辛い想像だが、その覚悟を始めた方が良さそうだ。やはり不用心だったのだ。
私はそうだと申し上げました。なぜ彼らはこれほどの危険を承知で外に。愚かなことです。ローザさんが襲われたばかりだというのに、なぜに外へ。
それを言っても始まらん。とにかくこれでゲストハウスに大人は3人。
You're not counting one. You're not counting one, Klaus. You're not counting one. Are you not counting someone? Because there's you, Nessie, Ava, and Nanjo. Who are you not counting?
私と夏希、そして高熱で寝込んでいるエヴァだけだ。
Oh my god, I forgot! Okay, so... I guess Nanjo is not... Wait, 1 second, let me get back to the human side, 1 second. So I guess Nanjo's not one of the adults! I guess Nanjo's not one of the adults! Or you completely forgot that he exists! At that time, there was the forceful sound from the hallway of a door being opened, and Ava's shrieking voice. That voice kept calling Hideyoshi's name. It seemed as though the high fever had given her a bad dream or something, and now she was calling her husband's name.
Eva-san, どうしましたか？大丈夫ですか？うちの人はどこ？うちの人がいないの。ずっと一緒にいるって約束してくれたのに、ずっと手を握ってくれてるって約束したのに。
Klaus was taken aback by this attitude of hers, which she had never shown in front of him before, but Natsui understood her feelings.
落ち着いて。秀吉さんはルドルフさんたちと一緒に今表へ出ています。表へ？
Mine.
どうしてよ。私とずっと一緒にいてくれるって約束したのに、どうして表になんか行ってるの？表へ出てはダメ。表には魔女がいるわ。行ってはダメ。殺されてしまう。
エヴァ、落ち着きなさい。秀吉さんはルドルフたちと一緒に屋敷へ戻っているのだ。
どうして屋敷に行かなくちゃいけないのよ。ここなら安全なのに、どうして表になんか出したのよ。どうして屋敷なんかに戻ったのよ。
明日までの食料を取りに行くことになったんだ。秀吉さんはお前の体調が悪いことを気にしてて、そのためにもと言って。
いつ戻ってくるの？いつ戻ってくるのよ。表はダメよ。バラ庭園はダメ。屋敷はダメ。魔女がいる。黄金の魔女が歩き回ってる。見つかったら殺されてしまう。絶対に殺されてしまう。うちの人はいつ戻ってくるの？30分前にここを出ました。私たちは帰りを待っています。 分そんなのおかしいじゃない。屋敷に行って食料を取って帰ってくるのにどうしてそんなに時間がかかるのよ。それであんたたちはなんでここでぼんやりしてるのよ。迎えに行かなきゃ。早くあの人のところへ行かなきゃ。
Ava had probably had quite a nightmare. And after waking up and discovering that it still wasn't over, she could no longer hide her confusion. Natsui tried calming her down, but it only made Ava's emotions explode all the more. Maybe they heard that disturbance. The lobby door opened slightly, and Battler and the kids, who should have been upstairs, poked their faces out. Klaus, Natsui, Ava, and Battler, George, Jessica, and Nancho. The honorary kid! Everyone in the guest house was gathered by the entrance and understood the current situation.
母さんの意見に同感だよ。父さんたちの様子を確かめに行くべきだ。
ああ、そうだな。荷物が大きくなって手間取ってる可能性だってあるぜ。人手は歓迎のはずさ。
ローザさんが襲われてすぐですぞ。二次遭難の可能性もあります。ここは一つ慎重に。
バカを言わないで。慎重に何よ。助けを求めてるかもしれない主人を見殺しにしろというの。私が様子を見に行くわ。臆病者はここで待っていなさい。
Looking agitated, Ava raised her gun. Judging by her expression, it would be useless for anyone to try and stop her. George, who realized that first, raised his head.
僕も行こう。バトラ君も来るだろう。人数が多い方がいい。
おう、エヴァおばさん、来るなって言ったってついてくぜ。
私も行くよ。私だけ安全なところに隠れてなんかいられないぜ。ジェシカは出てはなりません。ここに私といるのです。良いですね。
She was essentially implying that those three had already been killed anyway, so it was pointless to go outside. Natsui also realized that she had made a deep gouge in Ava's heart, but she said those words strongly as Jessica's mother.
そうね。それがいいでしょうね。兄さんたち一家はゲストハウスで留守番してて。これはうちの家族とバトラ君の家族の問題よ。あと南條先生も来てもらえるかしら。万が一のこともあるかもしれないから。
Alright. And time for the discovery. Oh!
バトラ、エヴァ、ジョージ、南條の4人は屋敷のホールにてルドルフ、キリエ、秀吉の3人の遺体を発見。
The song that's playing right now is voiceless. Why do we always begin on the witch's side? Why do we always start on the witch's side? Anyways, Ushiromiya Hideyoshi died in the mansion's hall, with his chest having been pierced by a weapon shaped like a stake. Careless. Who knew she was still alive? What does that mean? Wait, what does that mean? What does that mean? Careless, who knew she was still... Oh my god, hold on. Ushiromiya Rudolph died in the mansion's hall, with his forehead having been pierced by a weapon shaped like a stake. From now on, they have to be finished off with sticks, apparently. Vulgar. Ushiromiya Kirie died in the mansion's hall, with her stomach having been pierced by a weapon shaped like a stake. The stomach isn't a very lethal spot. Wouldn't it have been okay to kill her by a safer method, and just stick a stake in the corpse? Oh my god, okay, so, hold on. Careless who knew she was still alive? the stomach is in a very lethal spot. It kind of makes it apparent that Kirie was the one who shot Hideyoshi. Okay, so the scene's already being set up from, the character sheets. Come on, hold on. There's something not right about this. Is this really the tips I get about what happened in this scene? Wait, for each of the murders, did they give you a slight tip with these little one-liners? Careless, who knew she was still alive? The stomach is in a very lethal spot? She was the one who shot Hideyoshi. She was the one who shot Hideyoshi. Even though it was interpreted as a gun floating in the air, it was Kirie who shot Hideyoshi. Oh my god. Well, that kind of... Okay, I'm waiting for the red truths to come out, but I think I am developing a psychological theory just from these two bottom texts. It seems like the murder mystery this time is actually a lot easier to solve, for which... Is it because there is a new witch, Eva Beatrice, that the mystery is a lot harder? I mean, easier? Not harder. Easier? Or is there something up? There's gotta be something up. The mystery is way too easy. If they're even giving you tips through, the dead character sheets. The mystery's gotta be much more easier if this is what they're doing. Oh my god. Anyways, what do you have to say for Gilia?
第4から第6の番ってことか。なら死体には額、胸、腹にそれぞれ例の悪魔の杭が。
はい。ルドルフの額に1本、秀吉の胸に1本、そしてキリエの腹部に1本、悪魔の杭が打ち込まれています。3人には争ったか、あるいは逃げ回るかしたと思われる着衣の乱れがあります。3人の遺体は寄り添ってはおらず、犯人と遭遇後、ある程度の抵抗を試みたと推定されます。
杭で額と胸と腹をとか、相変わらず無芸。
Even though Renove knew it would be superfluous, he thought that maybe he should tell Battler. In actuality, the witch had killed them in a much more horrible way. Beato had advised the witch to restrain herself, which is why the corpses had been left so undamaged. The new and brutal witch, thinking that all she needed to do was get the gouge with the stake part right, might even have just stuck a stake into a lump of meat that wasn't even shaped like a human. Rosa and Maria's corpses would probably have been especially striking. If they had been killed as the Golden Witch had wished, just how gruesome would the exposed corpses have been? Beato had changed that into a kind of killing that Battler would have called still better. Wanting to have Beato's small bit of thoughtfulness appreciated, he thought of telling Battler about that. But for Battler, that might do more harm than good. To humans, the gap between being alive and being dead is very large. To ask for Beato's feelings to be accommodated on the grounds that she had changed it to a better way of dying might have made it possible for a demon to pardon her, but there was no way it would work the same way for a human. Understanding this, Renove remained silent, even though he knew of Beato's modest effort.
いつも通り死体の死亡確認からさせてもらうぜ。ロノベ、赤で宣言を頼む。おい、聞こえないのか？赤で宣言を頼む。副賞要求だ。ルドルフ、キリエ、秀吉の3名は死亡している。
申し訳ございません。副賞を拒否させていただきます。
What? Huh?
なんだと？いきなりどういうつもりだ？
By now, proclaiming the deaths of the victims in red was almost a given in this battle. Refusing to do that was almost like losing by default. So when Renove declined as his first move, Valor was dumbfounded.
申し訳ございません。私めのお嬢様の代行者である資格をこれをもって返上させていただきます。よって私にはそれを赤で復唱することができません。それを復唱する資格があるのはお嬢様ただ一人だけでございます。
正しい言い分です。ロノウェはベアト側の代行者でしかありません。ロノウェが代行の役を負り、かつバトラ君がベアトを相手として認めないならば、新しい代行者を立てる必要があります。
新しき代行者はおりません。どうかバトラ様、お嬢様を再び対局の相手とお認めください。
悪いが、そいつは聞けねえ相談だぜ。あの不愉快な残酷野郎、俺は絶対に対局者だなどと認めない。それを認めないために、俺はこのゲームを降りないんだ。
不愉快な点につきましては、お嬢様に代わりまして謝罪します。また、お嬢様には二度と不愉快な言動を取らぬよう制約させます。
どうだかな。
バトラ君、あの子の師匠として私も謝罪します。よく言って聞かせますので、どうか一度だけ許してやってはくれませんか？
おいおい、よしてくれよ。まるで俺が悪者みてえだぜ。それに、あんたらにいくら謝罪の言葉を聞かされても、俺の耳には届かない。そいつは、ベアトが自分の口で言えるってんなら、まあ、耳を貸さねえこともないぜ。
わかりました。それがあの子を再び認めてもらう唯一の条件ならば、あの子に謝罪をさせましょう。ロノウェ、あの子を呼びなさい。よろしいですね、バトラ君。
好きにしろよ。だが、俺が許すと期待するな。呼べよ。あのムカつく魔女。
Is it me or... Is it me or does something not just feel correct right here? Something just doesn't feel correct right here. I don't know why, but something just does not feel correct right here.
ありがとうございます、バトラ様。ただいまお呼びいたします。
Like, okay, the reason why I feel like something just doesn't feel right about all this is all the magical beings are acting all too remorseful towards Battler's pain. Now, if they were humans, they would act this way, but they're not humans. They're witches. They're acting very human as witches. That's why, for some reason, I just have this feeling that something's not right about this. Something just doesn't feel right. I might be wrong, and this must be how they're actually, feeling towards Balor, but something just doesn't feel right by how human these magical beings are acting. Especially Beatrice. Even though I can definitely see that Beatrice is a lonely witch. At the same time, something just doesn't feel right. Something just doesn't feel right. The witches are acting too much like humans right here. Or maybe I'm just saying something that is just, you know, dumb right now. But to me, they're acting too human to really, you know, make me believe that something's not up. Yeah, I cannot get myself to think that something's not up. Yeah, like, before I was thinking that maybe this might be how Beatrice and the rest are really reacting, but now that I think about it, they're acting very human. Now that I think closely about this, they're acting very human towards Battler's anger at Beatrice. For which just makes me think something is up here. I don't know what, but I just don't know whether or not I should really trust them still at this moment. I don't know. They just seem to be acting very, very human for magical beings.
お嬢様、バトラ様がお呼びでございます。
After a few heartbeats, gold butterflies gathered together in midair and created Beato's form. It was much more docile than the way she had appeared before now.
呼んだかロノウェ。
話は聞いていたはずですよ。あなたの口から何か言うことはありますか？
It looked as though Beato shrunk slightly under Battler's cold gaze. Several times, Beato made an effort to get the words out of her mouth, but that didn't work so well. And she was just as awkward as someone trying to light a match during a freezing winter with frozen hands. Even as she did that, the game board was proceeding. In the hall, they had just found the bodies of the new victims, and had broken down crying. And here they are.
親父、キリエさん。僕だって悔しい、悲しい。
おそらく即死だったでしょう。たとえ彼らが倒れた直後に我々がここに訪れたとしても、きっと手遅れだったに違いありません。
いいえ、違うわ。きっと生きてたわよ。胸にこんなものを刺されて、うちの人はもがき苦しみながら死んでいったに違いないのよ。もっと早く来ていればきっと助かった。きっと助かったのよ。
バトラ君も辛いだろうけど、しっかり。
大丈夫だよ、大丈夫だぜ兄貴。もうちょっとだけ泣かせてくれ。俺が一番マシなんだ。俺が一番悲しくないはずなんだ。だからもうちょっとだけ泣いたら大丈夫だから。
そんなことないよ。両親を失った心の痛みはよくわかる。僕には母さんがまだいる。 バトラ君よりはるかにマシだ。いや違うぜ。
Moon.
ジョージの兄貴が一番辛いはずなんだ。分かってんだよ兄貴。ジョージの兄貴が俺たちの中で一番悲しくて辛いんだ。
Oh, he's referring to Shannon, I bet.
俺はそれを分かってる。だからこれ以上メソメソなんて泣いちゃいけねえんだ。どうして僕の方が辛いなんて。俺にとっちゃ親父もキリエさんも成人して独り立ちしたらいつかは別れる人間さ。親である以上子供より先に死ぬのは宿命だ。それが少し早くなっちまっただけの話だぜ。だが兄貴は違うぜ。いつか別れる親だけじゃない。これからの人生をずっと一緒に生きていくはずのシャノンちゃんまで失ったんじゃないかよ。
I knew he was gonna say that. I just knew he was gonna mention that.
人の命に重さなんかねえさ。赤ん坊の命だって年寄りの命だって同じくらいに尊いだろうよ。だがよ、それからの人生が長ければ長いほど、一緒に築いていく未来が長ければ長いほど、その死ってのは悲しいものなんじゃねえのかよ。兄貴はシャノンちゃんと婚約したんだろ。これからの人生と家庭を一緒に築いていこうって約束したんだろ。その未来のでかさが、幸せのでかさがよ、俺の痛みなんかとは比べ物にならねえ。だから兄貴はもっともっと泣いても許されるはずなんだ。なのに俺たちいとこの兄貴格だからって無理に冷静を装って、やめてよバトラ君。
George was trying to make a calm smile, but he couldn't any longer stop a single hot tear from leaving a streak down his face.
悲しくないわけがないじゃないか。僕はシャノンと一緒にたくさんの未来を思い描き合ったさ。きっと100年の人生では叶えきれないくらいの夢を語り合ったさ。その夢の一番最初の籍を入れることさえ叶えられなくて悲しくないわけがないじゃないか。それに比べたら俺なんかだから俺にはこれ以上泣く資格なんかねえんだ。兄貴だってこらえてるのに俺にこれ以上の涙を流す資格なんて。同じだよ。親しい人を失えば悲しいのは僕もバトラ君も同じだよ。だからバトラ君が僕より涙を流してはいけないなんてルールはない。そして僕だってもうこれ以上涙をこらえなければならないなんてルールもないんだもんね。兄貴未来を語り合ったシャノンが死んだ。父さんも死んだ。悲しいな悲しいな。
As Battler and George tightly hugged each other, they cried a waterfall of tears over each other's shoulders for those people important to them.
どうして俺がジョージの兄貴が一番辛いって言ったか
Nope.
わかるか
What the fuck? What is that noise? What was that? Is that part of the song? What was that? I'm gonna have to wait till it loops again, but what was that? The song's called Melting Away, by the way, I think, but what was that little small voice? I am not going crazy, am I? That was a part of the song, right? That small, tiny voice? I guess I'm gonna have to keep on playing, but I swear, I heard a small little voice at the beginning of the song. Is it gonna play again in the song, or...? There is a small, tiny voice.
聞いていたからわかる。その後の人生を共にする時間の長さに悲しみは比例すると。
もちろんそれだけじゃ測れねえけどな。俺たち人間はお前ら魔女とは違う。生きてから死ぬまでという有限の時間をその力の限り生きている。それをないがしろにする奴は許せない。ましてや嘲笑いもてあそぶような奴は絶対に許せない。お前のような死の概念もめちゃくちゃな奴には理解もできねえだろうがよ。これから生きる時間の長さだけじゃない。一生懸命に生きている奴の人生を嘲笑うこと、これが一番俺には許せねえんだ。ジョージの兄貴はがむしゃらに頑張って人生を生きてた。シャノンちゃんと結婚するために悲壮な覚悟をしてこの日に臨んでいたはずなんだ。俺みたいに久しぶりにいとこと会えるなんて浮かれてたやつとはわけが違う。
しかしだな。
ベアト、今は黙って聞きなさい。
うん。
お前の言い分にも一定の理解はする。お前には自分の復活のためにおかしな碑文に沿った殺人を続ける必要があるってんだろ。
Okay, this is gonna bother me. What is that? What are they saying? What is that person saying in the beginning? Sorry, Battler, for interrupting you. This is a very important and sad scene. But I'm just so fucking distracted by the small, tiny voice speaking to me while the song's playing. Okay, I'm breaking one rule. Am I allowed to break one rule? Okay, I'm breaking one rule. What are you saying? I want to open the comments, but I don't know if there's spoilers in them. Okay. This is dangerous. It was dangerous. Okay. Someone did write what it's saying. That I knew how to see the heart from the standpoint that I knew how to see. Right? Okay. Wait, what was that one comment? Who left Ralph Wickham in the recording studio? okay. That was the only time I'm breaking the rule of looking up a soundtrack of Umineko while playing the game. Okay, I had to look up the name of this song because I just wanted to know what the fuck that voice was saying. I just wanted to know what it was saying. Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm just really sorry.
だからその範囲内でのお前の殺人はお前の立場の事情を汲み取る限りギリギリの理解はできる。それがお前にとっては必要な行為だからだ。ならそれ以上の不要な行為は全てお前の無意味な残酷趣味ということになる。つまり第一の晩に6人を殺すことまでがお前にとっての必要な行為ならば顔を砕くとか腹を裂いてお菓子を詰め込むなんて真似は全て全く不必要なお前の残酷趣味だってことになる。俺はお前のこの点について断じて許すことができないんだ。お前はローザおばさんがひどい殺され方を繰り返された時結局は最後には生き返らせるのだからどう殺したっていいじゃないかみたいなことを言ったそうだな。ワルギリアに聞いてるぜ。
それはまあ
最後には生き返るなら何度殺してもいいという考えは命をもてあそぶだけの全く不必要な行為ではないのか。殺すなら人思いに殺せ。もてあそぶな。殺さないなら痛むな。お前は人の命を自在に操れるのをいいことに命の尊厳を忘れてしまった。だから俺は認められないんだ。命の重みをそして失った時の悲しみを知らない奴を俺は対戦相手だと断じて認められない。
無限の魔法が邪法と言われるゆえんです。無限の魔女に有限の概念はない。壊す殺すという有限と終焉の概念がないのです。それゆえに無限の魔女は時に生と死の狭間をゴム跳びで遊ぶかのようにその行き来を遊び出すようになります。それはとてもとても恐ろしいことです。だから私は無限の魔女として自ら望みあなたの域まで達しなかったのです。
Virgilia had told Beato that countless times before, but Beato had been too young to obediently listen to those words. She had been too wild. She had been possessed by that detestable pleasure.
壺を割ってはならぬと言われてきた。でもだからこそいつか割ってみたいと思っていた。そして無限の魔法を得ていくら壊しても好きなだけ元に直せると知った時わらわは壺を壊すことがこれほどまでに楽しかったのかと驚く。
それを禁忌の蜜と呼びます。
Sorry about that.
人はその中身に惹かれるのではない。それを封ずる錠前に惹かれるのです。実に嘆かわしいことです。
バルギリアに聞きたい。無限の魔法なんてものがどうしてあるんだ。それは何のためにこの世にあるんだ。
無限の魔法に限らず魔法はすべて 人の世に幸福をもたらすために存在するのです。今さらバトラ君には信じがたいでしょうが、私たち魔女は人の世に恵みを与えるために、人と人ならざる者たちとの架け橋になるべく修行を重ねているのです。
死者を繰り返し蘇らせ、何度もいじめ殺すことでどう人の世に役立つってんだ。
大切な形見の壺が割れてしまった時、それを直すことで誰もが笑顔を取り戻すならば、私は何度でも魔法にて直すでしょう。しかしそれは壊すために直すのではありません。人に幸福を与えるためによみがえらせるのです。
だとしたらベアト、お前は無限の魔女、失格だな。
God damn it!
今俺は漠然と思ったことがある。どうして俺がお前とこんなおかしなゲームを延々と続けてるのかだ。これは俺を屈服させるためのゲームじゃない。お前が本当の意味で無限の魔女に認められるための試験ではないのかってな。
知らぬわ。わらわがそなたにゲームを申し込んでいるのは単なる暇つぶしだ。誰の思惑でもないわ。
俺は今ワルギリアからの魔女の定義を聞いた。それによるならばベアト、お前は魔女ですらない。その修行の途中で自らの力を誤解した見習いってことになる。これは魔女と人間の戦いのはずならば、魔女でないお前に俺の相手としての資格はない。わかるな。
わらわがまだ見習い風情だと申すか。ならばわらわはいつそなたの対戦相手だと再び認められるのか。いつこのゲームを再開できるというのか。
さあな。それは少なくとも今じゃない。お前が俺の言った話をちゃんと理解できて本当の魔女になった時、俺はお前を再びゲームの対戦相手だと認めるだろうよ。
そのような抽象的な言い方では分からぬ。どうすればお前の許しを超えるのか、はっきりと聞かせよ。
いいや、これで十分だ。あとはお前が考えろ。俺が言いたいのは以上だ。理解ができないならワルギリアやロノウェに相談してみろ。お前みたいなガキンチョはまず大人の言葉に耳を傾けるところから始めやがれ。ワルギリア、ゲームは一度中断する。ロノウェが代行を降りた以上、あとはベアトが対局者としてふさわしい資格を持つのを待つしかない。
了解しました。ベアトがその資格を得たと認められるまでゲームを対局者不在のまま進行させます。ベアトもそれでよろしいですね。
異論はない。わらわは時間とゆっくり考えられる場所が欲しい。これにて席を外してもよいか。
ああ、いいぜ。
それではまたな。
待てよ、そうしょぼくれた顔すんな。
それはすまぬな。わらわは胸の内が全て顔に出る勝負。 われぬ。
ならまだ更生の余地はあるってことだぜ。一つだけ約束する。俺はお前とのゲームに勝つかもしれないし負けるかもしれない。お前が戻ってこなけりゃ不戦勝ってこともあるだろうよ。
At that point, Fowler stopped talking for a second. Then, he spoke forcefully.
しかし絶対に俺からは降りない。お前を不戦勝にだけは絶対にしない。お前が再び俺の好敵手としてそこに座るのを俺はずっとここで待っているぞ。
バトラ様、
ありがとうなバトラ。わらわはきっとそなたに認められて戻ってくるぞ。
Why does her face seem slightly annoyed? Beato showed him That's a hopeful smile? It looked like she was struggling to give that smile. Like, it looks like her eyes were struggling and there was a sweat drop on her face. That looks more like a forced smile than anything than a hopeful one. What? Beato showed him a very slightly hopeful smile and then disappeared. Looking at that expression, Fowler strongly believed that her face could tell no lies. What? Wait, what? That was a pain expression from what I was seeing. Maybe I missaw her face. Or maybe I didn't get to see the correct sprite. I don't know. Something doesn't seem right. Something doesn't seem right. I'm gonna go off of this. Something doesn't... At that store. Something just doesn't feel right. Really, something does not feel right. The 7 survivors returned to the guest house once again. By now, it was clear that those who went outside would not be able to return alive. Rudolph's group had gone out holding 2 guns and 1 master key, but those had been lost. It was more than clear by now that they had been stolen by the culprit. Since the windows were closed with the shutters, they wouldn't open even if the culprit had the master key. They sealed the front door and all other doors to the outside with chains, and further blocked them with sofas and tables. Even if the culprit decided to break in through violent means, it wouldn't be easy for them.
台風が今となってはむしろ幸いかもしれんな。もしも晴れていたならゲストハウスに放火するという手もあり得たかもしれん。
そもそも台風でなかったなら午前中に船が来てたわ。それを不幸中の幸いと言えるかは微妙ね。
エヴァさん、体の具合はいかがですか？無理をされないようにしてください。
ありがとう。熱はまだ感じるけど、そんなことを言ってる場合じゃない。子供のためにも今は寝込んでる場合じゃない。
After crying so much in front of Hideyoshi's body, Ava had now gained a strong self-awareness that she was a mother, and her expression conveyed a strong will. Actually, her fever still hadn't gone down, and she was aware of that. Whenever she wasn't galvanizing herself, she felt the fever starting to make her mind hazy again. By this point, the first floor was the final line of defense made by Klaus, Natsuki, and Ava. The children and the guests, Nanjo, had been strongly warned not to carelessly come downstairs. If the culprit had used a ladder or something, it probably wouldn't be impossible for them to attack from upstairs. But it wouldn't be easy for them to break those sturdy shutters from such an unstable position. It was comparatively safer upstairs compared to downstairs. Battler and George had hoped to remain downstairs as well, to fight in the worst case scenario, but Ava had rejected that. In her mind, George was now her only family. It seemed that she didn't even want to expose him to the danger of coming downstairs to the first floor. Klaus and Natsuki could also understand that feeling. A great deal of time had now passed since they once again barricaded themselves in. In the cousins' room, upstairs, Battler, George, and Jessica were sitting dazed. Their ears not even registering the TV that had been left on. For a while, Nanjo had been with them, and tried to send them words to cheer them up. But when he realized that he might actually be having the opposite effect, he disappeared into his own room. Oh my god, I'm going to repeat this entire paragraph. For a while, Nanjo had been with them, and had tried to send them words to cheer them up. But when he realized that he might actually be having the opposite effect, he disappeared into his own upstairs room. George kept looking dazedly at the photographs inserted in his notebook. They were from that time he had taken a vacation to Okinawa with Shannon. Shannon's happy smile was contained in those photographs. Flashback? Flashback. Fortitude. George could remember the temperature and the humidity, the warmth and strength of the wind. And even what he had been talking about with her at the time those photos had been taken, as clearly as though it had been yesterday. So to George, they weren't simply photos, but a door to bring back warm memories. In this room, even though the sound of the typhoon and the TV should have entered George's hearing, it was the scenery of Okinawa he had seen with her, and her laughing voice that reached his eyes and his ears. After meeting Shannon, George had made the decision to be reborn. He had sworn to separate himself from the timid person he had once been. Easily caught up in the atmosphere, unable to refuse a request, and easily used by those around him. He had resolved himself to become a strong man who would make her life even more joyous. So, if he hadn't met Shannon, the man called Ushiromiya George would probably have lived a very different life. And the George of that different life surely wouldn't have been as excellent a man as he now was. The way he was now, he was for the sake of Shannon. But if that same Shannon was now gone, he found himself wondering why he exists. Isn't it completely meaningless? A deep, deep sadness, as though he himself had become empty. That feeling had tormented him the whole time. However, until Battler had told him, he hadn't been aware of the feeling himself. He finally remembered that he should have cried much, much more. So he had cried. Just like Battler, he had cried himself dry. By now, his eyes were bright red and swollen, and he could not cry anymore. So George did his best to change his way of thinking. He decided to think that he was not meaningless, that he should be grateful to Shannon for giving him such a character. Dead lives are not revived. He would have to get over being separated from his beloved. If he were to come after Shannon by killing himself, she would surely be deeply dejected. It would be the same the other way around too. If he died, and Shannon chased after him, throwing away her own life, he wouldn't be able to forgive himself. Far. So. Jesus! Okay, that song kind of made me jump a little bit, I'm sorry. Jeez! That was kind of loud. So, he chose to surpass his emotions of sadness and anger, and decided to thank her. Meaning Shannon had made his days rich and full, and had taught him the meaning of working hard for other people's sakes. As a result, she had shaped him into the person he had wanted to be. He thought he should thank her for that. By doing that, he tried to quell his sadness. But each time he did, he remembered Shannon's smile. He knew it, logically. He understood that grieving any more than this would only make her grieve in heaven. Yet, he couldn't stop his sadness. No. 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 This is not gonna make me get the feels. No. I refuse to have this let me get the feels. No. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh god. I was getting feels. No. No.
なんで人が死ぬってのはよ、こんなに悲しいんだろうな。
Oh. Oh. Fowler muttered. It was as though he was speaking on behalf of all humans. He probably hadn't been asking anyone, but Jessica answered.
別れはどんな形でもいつも悲しいさ。でもそれが例えば老いであるとか何かの時間であるとか、あらかじめ約束されていていつか訪れる別れであると分かっているものは、その悲しみを長い時間をかけてあらかじめ薄めておくことができる。それを許されないから突然の不幸は悲しいんだろうよ。
なるほどな。そりゃ病気にでもかかって何年も昏睡状態になってりゃ少しずつ心の整理もついてくだろうけど、ある日突然じゃその暇もねえもんな。
本来なら数年をかけて薄めるべき悲しみが一度に押し寄せる。そりゃ辛いわけさ。時には人の生涯に傷を残すほど深い悲しみを与えることもあるかもしれない。
生涯に傷を残すほどか。
Well then.
じいさまのオカルト趣味もさ、そう囁かれてたんだよな。例のベアトリーチェって愛人を大昔に亡くして、それが悲しくて悲しくて立ち直れなくて、それで死者を蘇らせるためのオカルトの研究に残りの人生を全て捧げるようになったのではないかって、そう囁かれてた。
だとしたらじいさまは最後の土壇場でその奇跡を成し遂げたな。犯人は蘇ったベアトリーチェで、じいさまは殺される瞬間に再会できたってことになるぜ。自分で蘇らせてそれに殺されるとは皮肉な話さ。
それでもおじいさまは
会えたんだろうね。人生の半分を賭してもう一度会いたいと願った女性に、わずかなひとときとはいえ再会できたんだろうね。
丸焼きにされちまったけどな。人生の半分をかけた研究にしてはちょいと割の合わない成果だろうぜ。
そんなことはないよ。たとえほんのひとときであったとしても、愛した女性に再会できたおじいさまは幸せだったはずさ。仮に生命の摂理に逆らった罪を神に咎められて、その身を焼かれ地獄に落とされたとしても、その見返りの再会がほんのわずかな時間だったとしてもね。
上司兄さん、
神の怒りに触れてこの身を焼かれようとも構わない。わずかな時間でもいいからシャノンを再び蘇らせてくれるなら、僕は残りの人生すべてをおじいさまと同じ研究に捧げるよ。5分でいいからシャノンともう一度言葉を交わしたい。1分でもいいから、それと引き換えに全ての人生を捧げても僕は構わない。
兄貴。
When Battler and Jessica realized that their pointless discussion was hurting George, they had no choice but to shut their mouths. George directed his thoughts at Kenzo's life. I saw him sacrifice half his life to research that no one could understand. And on the last day of his life, he revived the person he loved most, and probably succeeded in his reunion in his final moments. I don't know how much time they were able to spend together. I don't know whether they were given an hour or just 5 minutes. However, in that moment, all that time he had sacrificed for his research must have been rewarded. Even though he spent decades to gain it, that small amount of time must have been enough to reward him. Until today, I never believed in the occult or magic or anything. Somewhere in my heart, I even made fun of grandfather's research as nothing more than an indulgence. However, I won't make fun of it anymore. No, to the contrary, I strongly believe that it does exist. If that power of belief can become miracles, I'll probably throw away all my studies up until today, and spend the rest of my life from today onward studying magic. Give me the power of magic, and a miracle which lets me meet Shannon again.
ごめんよみんな。僕もどうかしてる。魔法で死者が蘇るくらいだったら世界中の人々が魔法を学ぶだろうね。でも現実にはそんなことはない。誰も学ばない。死者が魔法では蘇らないって知っているから。ごめんよ、妙なことを言い出して。僕のせいでおかしな空気になっちゃったね。みんなだって辛いだろうに。気を使わせてごめん。
Even though I did it to divert myself from my sadness, maybe I did say something strange. If I kept talking about something so weird, I'm sure it won't heal their sadness. But, even so, that doesn't mean that I can withstand this silence.
僕は下に行ってもう一杯コーヒーをもらってくる。うちの母さん、コーヒーの入れ方にはこだわりがあるんだよ。みんなもおかわりはいるかい？
Fowler-kun and Jessica-chan lightly shook their heads. Without being any more persistent than that, I took my mug and left the room. Something, George, are you about to meet Eva Beatrice or something? I don't know, I don't think that's gonna happen. I did visit Dr. Nanjo's room to ask whether he wanted any coffee as well. Let me repeat that. I did visit Dr. Nanjo's room to ask whether he wanted any more coffee as well. But he too said that he didn't want any more. It seemed as though my mother's orthodox method of making coffee wasn't universally appreciated. One time, I had Shannon drink some that I brewed by that method. But she told me that while it was delicious, it was a little strong. If I remember her words.
Shannon.
It's no good. Even though I left the room to change my mood, that image of Shannon's face that's filling my head hasn't faded in the slightest. The fun days I shared with her were becoming more and more vivid. And I felt saddened that I was not even allowed to see her dead face. Moon. According to our parents, it seemed as though she was killed with something like a gun or a spear. I'm sure they were just trying to console me, but they had said that her face and death had been very beautiful and peaceful. I wonder if she's wearing the engagement ring I gave her last night. If she accepted my engagement, she should have it on the ring finger of her left hand. Last night, our heads were both full of each other, and we weren't composed at all. Shannon had accepted the engagement semi-boldly, but she might have regretted that as a rash action once she cooled her head. She might have taken the ring off. I wonder if she has the ring on now. I at least want to be sure of that much. I want to know her final feelings. However, even if I do check that, it's not as if she'll be revived. I wonder what will happen to her body. After the autopsy, it will probably be immediately cremated. Then, I'll never be able to see her face, even her dead face, for all eternity. I don't want Shannon's body to be burned. If she's burned, she'll turn to ash, and never again will it be possible for her to revive. They say that cremation is disliked in Western tradition, because on the day of resurrection, there will be no body to revive. Because of that, it seems that great criminals in Western history were often cremated after execution as a punishment, and their ashes were sometimes scattered in rivers and such. In other words, to Western people, death is nothing more than a sleep until the resurrection. It is essential that the corpse is left after death.
つまりそれは西洋人は死者が蘇る奇跡の存在を知っていたからなんだ。でも日本にはその奇跡がなかったから焼いてしまうんだ。
Now I understand why grandfather idolized the Western occult. From the beginning, it had all been only for that reason. Just to revive the person dear to him, grandfather spent the rest of his remaining life researching the Western occult. The situation surrounding us right now was abnormal. Grandfather had revived his beloved Beatrice, and that Beatrice had carried out a terrible serial murder, with chains of locked rooms that were impossible without the use of magic. the Golden Witch, Beatrice, the incarnation of the miracle of the Western occult, and also the culprit who killed Shannon. I should hate that being, and yet, for some reason, I want to cling to the hope she represents. I wonder if she could use that miraculous magic that Grandfather spent his entire life espousing to revive Shannon. According to the Ushiromiya family legend, Grandfather met with her long ago, and was giving a vast quantity of gold. Then, if I also met her, instead of gold, would she give me Shannon's life? In return, she could impose any kind of devil's contract. For that, I would sacrifice all my remaining life. George probably couldn't have believed that. Okay, oh no, oh wait, what? George probably couldn't have believed or noticed that. Right behind him, oh? The witch herself stood, listening to his voiceless wish. George is turning to the occult! That's why Beatrice's there! The psychological brain processes are running in my head right now! George wished for her to appear? She is appearing. Beatrice had been listening to everything George and the others had to say since their discussion just now in the cousin's room. Fowler had told her that she didn't know the weight of a human's life. And wanting to understand that in her own way, she had stealthily visited and listened to their discussion.
それが願いだというのか。それを叶えれば、わらわは魔女だと認められるのか。
Oh. Oh? Beato looked at the palms of both of her hands. She had handed over most of her previously surging magic power when the new witch had succeeded the name of Endless Witch. Of course, even now her magic power still made her worthy of being called a witch, but it did not even compare to her previous strength.
無限の魔法などなくとも、わらわは千年に名を轟かす大魔女であるぞ。死者を蘇らすなど、造作もないことよ。
Inside her head, she thought about several magical methods for reviving the dead. Even magic that she could do easily in the past would be difficult with her current magic power. She thought of something, then clicked her tongue, and repeated this several times. In the end, she finally thought of a single spell. But that was a spell that she couldn't use by herself. It was a spell that witches with weak power used, that relied on the aid of others. In the past, Beato had looked down upon that type of magic. Therefore, she frantically tried to think if there wasn't any other possible spell. But in the end, she couldn't think of one, and slumped over in self-derision. And then, careful not to surprise him, she softly called out, softly, to George's heart.
Ushiromiya George.
Distant.
わらわの声が聞こえるか。
聞こえるとも。あなたは誰だい？本当に魔女のベアトリーチェ？それとも僕の悲しみが生んだ幻想なのか？もしも前者だったなら僕の願いを聞いてほしい。そして後者なら僕をそっとしておいてほしい。
Conversations in the world of the mind are a lot like those in a dream. When you dream, haven't you ever had the experience of casually accepting something that would have been absurd in the real world? I don't... Have I? Not sure. The conversation in this world was like that. So even though a witch appeared and started talking to George, he was not surprised.
わらわの黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェである。本来わらわとそなたはこうして会話を交わすことなどできぬ。しかしそなたがわらわのことを強く意識し会話を望むからこうして互いのチャンネルを合わせることができる。
シャノンを殺したのがあなたなのか、あなたを名乗る何者かの仕業なのか、僕はどうでもいい。ただあなたが本当の魔女として存在しているならば、どんな対価にも応じる。僕の命を望むなら今すぐに捧げてもいい。どうかシャノンを生き返らせてほしい。それが無理ならせめてわずかの間話をさせてくれるだけでもいい。お願いだ。
対価はいらぬ。その願い
本当にシャノンを。
だが暗号の魔法を扱うには今のわらわには魔力が足りぬ。だからそなたの手を借りねばならぬ。
僕にできることならどんなことでも。それが僕の心臓を今すぐこの場で取り出すことであったとしても僕は躊躇しない。
Don't do that! Or do that! I want to see the chaos that would happen if you did that.
そんなものいらぬというのに。わらわは魔法を唱える。さすれば冥府の扉に隙間ができよう。だが今のわらわにはその隙間よりシャノンの魂を連れ出せるほどの力はない。しかしシャノンのことを強く思うそなたならその思いを魔力に変えて彼女の魂を必ずや連れ戻せるだろう。どうだ、わらわを手伝うか。
手伝うとも。シャノンの命が蘇るなら僕は何を失うことも恐れない。
George's fists shook in silence. Then he slowly regained consciousness. He had been absent-mindedly standing near the window in the hall the whole time, his mug still in his hand. And the witch from his dream was still there.
そんな夢じゃない。
That's right! I exist!
静かにせよ。今のわらわはとても脆い。この上さらに他の人間まで現れたら姿を保ちきれぬ。そなたの願いは叶えるから今は沈黙せよ。よいか。
George covered his mouth with both hands, forcibly nodding several times. As he did, he almost dropped the mug he was holding. George frantically juggled it around and caught it. He was afraid that if it fell to the floor and made a loud sound, the witch's form might disappear like a bubble popping. He softly set the mug on the floor and stared once again at the witch in front of him. Her form didn't disappear. It wasn't a dream.
さあ、シャノンが眠る客室へ行くぞ。そなたの思いの力にて彼女の魂を連れ戻すの。
行くってどうやって？ 下には母さんたちがいる。表へ出るのを許してくれるわけがない。それにあなたはさっき、他の人間が現れたら姿を保てないと言わなかったかい？
そういえばそうだったな。下にはクラウスたちがおったか。それでは確かに下へ降りられぬな。ならば1階へ降りずに屋敷へ行けばいいではないか。簡単な話よ。
Beato laughed, as though she had thought of a pleasant prank. And with her golden pipe, she lightly tapped a window with the shutter closed. When she did, 3 gold butterflies appeared from the pipe and opened the lock on the window as though melting it. Then the window opened without a sound. The shutter beyond it was exactly the same. The collapse unset itself, also without making a sound, and it quietly opened. The window opened, exposing the wind and rain outside the mansion. Perhaps because of the direction, or something related to the construction of the building, the wind did not blow inside. Because of that, for a while, George felt as though this entrance opening to the outside was a dream or illusion, and he couldn't accept it as real.
さあ行くぞ。ついてまいる。
Whoa! What? What was that? Beato gently floated upwards. It was a natural action, like that of a diver enjoying an underwater stroll. It made it easy to believe that if you acted like she did, you too might be able to float in the sky, just as though you were swimming in the water. No, George did believe that. So, without thinking, just as she had done, he also, gently, as though swimming in the water, moved his feet. I just love that transitional move up that Beatrice does whenever she's floating.
やるではないか。わらわが説明するよりも早く空を舞うことを覚えたか。
George was shocked to find himself floating in midair, like he was swimming. Of course, Beato was also shocked that George, who should have been unacquainted with magic, had learned how to do that just by instinct. Wait, is his hand just casually, every time he just positions like this, his hand's just like this? Please don't tell me his hand's always positioned like this, like he's cupping nearby his thigh. I need to see that again, but I don't know. Okay, we'll probably see that again once they start floating a little bit more. But how the fuck does George position his hand on his pants? How does he position his hand on his pants? I have to see that again. I really have to see that again. Oh my god.
理屈を考えてはならぬ。それが自然なことであると受け入れよ。ニュートンとかアインシュタインとか人間たちの競技を思い出してはならぬぞ。特に高き空を飛んでいる時はな。墜落する未熟な魔女も時による。
あるがままを受け入れる。あるがままを受け入れる。
Sorry about that. I hit the bone right here. George repeated those words over and over. He must not deny magic, no matter what. To deny that would be the same as to throw away what might be his first and last chance to revive Shannon. However, compared to Beato, who was elegantly drifting like smoke, George's movements were clearly similar to someone underwater. Therefore, if he did make a movement like kicking his feet in water every once in a while, he would be slowly dragged down by the force of gravity.
わらわが初めて空を舞った時よりは上出来であると褒めておる。行くぞ。ついてまいる。
Beato beckoned George and gently flew into the stormy sky. It was just like a scene from a fairy tale. The scene unfolding before George's eyes felt entirely like an extension of his dream.
空を飛べるのはすごいけど、すごい風と雨だ。
なんだ、雨と風に苛まれるのか。それを防ぐ魔法を教えてもよいが、今のそなたには早いし、今はそれを習う時間を割くのも惜しかろう。ええ、僕が必要としている魔法はそれじゃない。
Without losing to the wind and rain, George wore a strong-willed gaze.
見えてきたぞ、屋敷だ。もう少し頑張れよ。今落ちればバラの茂みだぞ。
The undulating rose garden was spread beneath the witch and George's gazes. This fantasy-like scene no longer surprised George. Only the gradually approaching mansion was reflected in his eyes.
シャン、待ってて。必ず君を蘇らせてみせる。
Bam. That's not good. Stupid faction. Uh-oh. Meanwhile, the cruel new witch could be seen staring at the guest house from a different location.
あと残すは第7、第8の番だけね。あと2人で先代のババアの義理はおしまいだわ。クラウスと夏日を殺す。
Called it.
夫婦仲良くね。にひ。標的はどうかに？ゲストハウス1階ロビーにて標的2名と後ろ宮エヴァを捕捉。反魔法力測定。410へデータリンク。410データ受領。反魔法力は極めて小。エヴァさえ席を外せばまな板の上のマグロにアワビです。にひひひ。いかがしますか、大ベアトリーチェ卿。ご命令をいただければすぐにも狙撃いたします。どうかご命令を。ほんとにあんたたちは便利な家具ね。死体をほじるしか能のない中古家具どもとは大違いだわ。
That's just mean.
ねえ。
That's just mean.
シエスタ姉妹、またあなたたちの手際を見せてちょうだい。攻撃準備よ。死体をまた運び出してね。たっぷり遊んであげるんだから。文句はなしよ、ロノベ。
はい、かしこまりました。
At that time, the witch noticed something, as though some presence had disappeared. Was it her imagination?
今何か気配を感じなかった？誰か感じた人いる？申し訳ありません。私は何も気づきませんでした。お許しを。私たちゲストハウスを観測中でしたから周辺監視はオフにしてます。にひ。ルシファーちゃんは
何か気配感じた？
For an instant, Lucifer sent a glance at Ronove, questioning whether she should answer honestly or not. Ronove gave a small nod in response.
いいえ、申し訳ございません、ベアトリーチェ様。私たちは何も。
Oh, Lucifer noticed that Beatrice was taking George to the mansion. They know.
中華家父ゆえ、愚鈍なことをお許しください。
It seems like the Seven Stakes and Renove are not that happy to be with Eva Beatrice. Though I don't think Renove is happy to be with any witch called Beatrice.
そう。大悪魔のあなたがそう言うなら、きっと私の気のせいなんでしょうね。
Oh, she knows something's up. The witch stared persistently in the direction the presence had disappeared to. That was the direction of the Rose Garden. And beyond that, she could see the mansion's dark silhouette created by lightning. It took her quite some time before she pushed her unsatisfied feelings aside, and once again, turned to face the guest house. Oh! That's where we end this chapter. Interesting. It's 5:44. Real magic. Huh. Well, one thing I do know for sure is, next time, Natsuki and Klost are pretty fucked. Next time, they're pretty fucked. And, you know what other character might be a little bit fucked? Balor, because I still have some feelings that there's something much more going on between Beatrice, Renove, and the predecessor. I feel like it's just, they're acting too much human. For some reason, I feel like they're acting too much human. And also, Beatrice, she did make a pretty weird face when she was leaving Balor earlier. She made a weird face that could be seen as a pleasant smile, but her sprite didn't look that, you know, like if she was being sincere. Maybe I'm just judging the art style of the PS3 sprites, but her face on her sprites, it just didn't seem right. It didn't seem right. Though of course I might be judging the art style, for which, egg on my face if I am. Egg on my face if I am. But as she's helping George right now, I find that very interesting that she's helping George right now. Oh, his hand's in his pocket. Oh. I thought he legitimately, like, had his hand like this for some reason. I legitimately thought he had his hand like this, not like, wait, hold on. How's he? Oh, okay. Okay. Like that. That is a weird-ass way to put your hand in your pocket. Anyways, yeah, I find it very interesting that she's helping George out right now. So, this is the third game, for one. And for two, I just have a feeling that she's acting too human to be sincere. Beatrice, she is acting too human to be sincere. So, this is gonna be a bold move. This is gonna be a bold move on this chessboard, but I'm gonna make a bold move. Beatrice is not sincere right here. That's what I think. Beatrice is not sincere right here. Kyrie shot Hideyoshi. Even though the character sheet is very pointing toward the direction that Kyrie killed Hideyoshi, which would be too easy to suspect, come on, it's just... I have a slight theory as regards to this certain game. Because it's not Beatrice, and it's Eva Beatrice, that's why the murders are a lot easier to figure out. Rosa Maria? They were probably definitely killed by Eva and Hideyoshi. Rudolph, Kyrie, and Hideyoshi? Well, it's kind of apparent that I believe that Hideyoshi, or Ava, who might have been with them, shot both Rudolph and Kirie, but Kirie was shot in the stomach, so she was able to fight back against Hideyoshi by shooting him when he wasn't looking. That could be what happened in that situation. Like, that setup, like, these two setups, the two setups made by Ava Beatrice have been very easy to solve so far. They've been very easy to solve, though of course, we have not been given too much reds. Like, there's not been a lot of reds regarding these situations, so I might be totally screwed over, and that pink I just said, well, that might have been a big mistake, but I'm gonna go with it. Kirie shot Hideyoshi, that's what I'm gonna go with, because of the character sheets. Even though this could be a translation joke, I don't think this is a lie. I don't think this is a lie, because my theory of the mysteries are easier to solve because we're getting the mysteries of an amateur witch. Ava Beatrice, she just became a witch. Her mysteries are really easy to solve because it is not, well, it is her first, mystery. It's her first mystery in general. So, that's why these cases have been very, very simple to solve. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. These murders are very simple to solve because they're being conducted by someone who probably had not even planned at all to kill anyone. Like, yeah, these murders are planned by someone who probably had not planned to kill anyone until they found the gold. So that's where I'm going to end this video. With the pink theory of Kirie had shot Hideyoshi here. And, well, I'm not going to say another pink theory. I need to be less careless with those. Even though, yeah, I'm going to stick with the Kirie shot Hideyoshi. I'm going to stick with that one. But there is a lot of considerations behind, what I think of Ava right now. And until I get to see some red truths going on, I'm not daring to say any pink theories on Ava. I'm not daring to do any of that yet. But as soon as the red truths start coming, I might begin making my pink theories against you in this third game. Though I do have one pink theory about the past two games. Well, no, I don't have any pink theories for the past two games. No, nothing in pink. But I think this is the only game of the three so far that Ava has conducted a lot of the crimes. That's all I'm gonna say. I think this third game is the first game where Ava was the conductor of the crime spree that occurred in Urokanjima. So with that, I'm ending this video right here, right now, with lots of suspicion towards Ava and I don't know, Nanjo, it's about time you reveal your true form. It's about time you reveal it. Come on, Nanjo. Come on. Kumasawa revealed her real form. When are you going to?
Okay.